it's almost like it's only the only reason why we do it is because we're not recognizing the chashivas.
That's the Yanuka.
Maybe, right? Yeah, that's yeah. But anyway, so that's something to keep in mind on a July 4th weekend. Instead of sitting and barbecuing a whole day, maybe we should I don't know, be Isaac in something that's going to actually have a long-term effect on us. Okay, whatever. Fine. Okay, so now we start with the Mishnah. Yeah, we're on the Mishnah. Right, we got up to the Mishnah on Kufid Zayin of a base.
Yeah, on the bottom, Yaakov, the bottom Mishnah.
Yeah. So now we deal with, for the rest of this parak, which is really over today. So all different, and we're continuing along the lines of the nemanus of a woman who goes to overseas and and does these and whether what she's believed to say, what she's not believed to say. Right? So let's see. So the Mishnah. Achas Emeres. One woman says, yeah. Now this is talking about there's two wives, two tzaras, right? The man has two wives. One says mace, one says her husband died. Achas Emeres loy mace. And one says the husband didn't die. Wonderful, right? Sounds like these two co-wives really get along, right? So one is saying he died, one is saying he didn't die. So the one that says that he died can go get remarried, and she could take her kesuba. And the one that says that she didn't die, that he didn't die, cannot get married and can't take the kesuba, right? Meaning because each one is believed. It's hard to understand this in the lumdus, right? But because how can you have one lady getting remarried and another lady not, right? I'm saying either the guy's dead or the guy's alive, right? But based on the halachas of what we believe and what we don't believe, so Mamela, the one that says he's dead can get married, and the one that says he's not dead can't get married, right? That's case number one. Achas Emeres mace. If one says he died, Achas Emeres nerak, and one says he was killed. So they're both agreeing that the husband is dead. It's just a matter of how he died. So since they're against each other, meaning they're not saying the same thing, then they can't get married, right? So there's that because there's a stira in the their edus.
It's not a steer. They say he's dead.
Right, but since there's a
what's
discrepancy,
the difference how he died?
Right, so no, he's saying, Rameir is saying that there's a discrepancy in their testimony. So Mamela, we have to throw out.
Case 4.
Yeah. Correct, but that's Rameir's chiddush that we still have to throw it out. Even though
but there seems to be a bigger discrepancy. He's alive or he's dead.
That's what I just said. Yeah.
Right. No, so that we're going to see that in the Gemara. We're going to see in the Gemara. Yeah, so let's see. So Achas Emeres meis, Achas Emeres nereg. Rameir Amahoyel Makhisha Zuazu. Harei Lula Yinasu. Since they're not agreeing with each other, so then they can't get married. Rabbi Yehuda v'Rab Shimon. That's what you're saying, right? Since if you don't Shimon hold that since both of them are maida that he's not alive, so that's enough. That's not called a stira, right? Fine. A dimer mace. If one now that was when the wives themselves are saying.
What does mace mean? Well, maybe they do an investigation, and the one and. This doctor poisoned him. He killed him, but he died. He looks like he died natural. How does anybody know the difference?
The doctor would never do that.
No, but maybe I think one means a physical. No, killed means physically dead. Meaning you can see visibly that somebody killed him. I think.
Now, if you threw him off a cliff, what do you mean?
Yeah, no, something like that. Correct. Yeah, Fine. The next case is by aid. An aid oimer meis, ve'aid oimer lo meis. You have conflicting witnesses. So that's case number one. Now on to Kufi Chesam Aleph. Ish oimeres meis, ve'ish oimeres lo meis. And one wife says he died. Not a wife. I'm sorry. A woman. Stam a woman says he died, and one woman says he didn't die. So harezu lo tinasei, then they can't get married, right? Because, and Rashi says this is talking about before Bezdin Paskin, after the first guy left, right? Meaning, because if Bezdin already Paskin, that we already learned yesterday's daf. Once Bezdin already Paskin that she can get remarried, then we don't care about the new aid. Yeah, so level the Gemara is going to discuss that. Fine. So Taima, as the Gemara asks, Taima da Amr loy meis. It's mashma that the second wife, right? He's married to two wives. One wife said he died, and one wife said he didn't die. So the wife that said he died is believed, and the one that says he didn't lie, they're both believed, but she can get remarried. And the one that said he didn't die says, and she can't get remarried. But it's mashma Taima da Amr loy meis ishtika. Let's say she was quiet. The second wife says, I don't know. He was hanging out with the first wife. She says he died. Okay, so he must have died. Let's say she's quiet. So Tinase, she's allowed to get married. How could she get married? We said in the Mishna yesterday, one tzara is not allowed to say edus for the chavarta because they're not believed. So how could it be that our Mishnah is mashma that if the tzara would stay quiet, then she'd be able to get remarried too? How could that be? So our answer is loy meis. It's trichalei. No, we need the case of meis. Because I would have thought that she knows that he's dead. And the reason why she said that he didn't die, her real kavana was she wants to mess up her tzara because she wants her tzara to be an aguna for the rest of her life. Meaning she knows that the husband died. Right? It seems like with all these things, the co-wives, the tzaras, there was no love lost between these. At least the Gemara doesn't think there was any love lost between them. Right? So she knows her husband died, but we're afraid that she is gonna want her tzara to be an aguna the rest of her life, to the point where she's also going to be an aguna for the rest of her life. Right? But she wants to cause tsar to her co-wife so much that she's willing to live the rest of her life as an aguna for it.
Makes
how
sense.
do we know? Does it make? Let me tell you something.
Women never make sense.
When a woman, when a woman decides something, that's it, man. That's it.
Hey, Hava gave Adam Marishan to the Eitzadas also for that reason.
Well, according to some, yeah.
According to Rashi.
It was a medrash in this last week's parsha that Kairach, they all listened to their wives, and that's why they went down. Right? Okay, whatever. We're not going to make this into a bashing woman session, but I
need something to speak about this week, Drew.
Peretz, there's another Peretz at the end of the daf. There's more to speak about.
Except for Oin Ben Peles. Except for Oin, his wife said she chased him away.
Yeah.
She gets credit.
No, listen,
she uncovered her hair that the guy should look away because they were holy.
Right. No, it's true. So, anyways, but yeah, she's willing to go down with this. That's what it is. I mean, she's willing to take her other wife, her competition down, and she's willing to suffer with it. And where do you see this? From V'tamas Nafsha in Plishtim Ka'amra. She's saying the same way Shimshon, right? What did Shimshon do? He committed suicide by killing. He wanted to kill all the Plishtim. How many Plishtim did he kill? I saw it this morning. Of course, I don't remember. A whole lot of Plishtim, right? He killed, but he went down with them, and it was worth it for him. So for her, it's the same thing. So it's a Havamina Zev. It's only a Havamina. It's not a Maskana. In the Maskana, she wouldn't do this. But we had a Havamina, maybe she would. Kamash Malan, that we're not, she's not allowed to get married. Right? Rav Aaron, you're muted.
Sorry. Okay, so one lady says her husband died. Yeah, so we let him get me married. The tzara is in Mexico. She comes back a month later. She says, "Oh, my tzara must be my husband died." So she goes to Bez and said, "You paskin, my husband died, so I'm getting married also." No, why can't she do that? She doesn't have to say anything. The Bezdin obviously said the husband's dead.
Right, so that's what we're saying. That's Maskanas Gemara. If she's quiet and she says she doesn't know, then fine.
Okay.
Yes, exactly like he's saying. It's only if she says not. Right? That's what the Gemara asked. Oh, why? How can you believe her? Right? So that's the Gemara saying the Maskana that we're not Kamashalan, that we would. If she's quiet, then it would be okay. Fine. So then Achas Emeres Mace, if one says he died and one says he was killed, right? So Rameir holds it's a stira. Now, how come the lift like Rameir Beresha, let Rameir be chaylik in the Resha too? Huh? Meaning let them. How do you say this? It's really not Rameir. Meaning in the first case, true, there is Rameir. No, meaning in the first case, there's no Machlokes, right? In the first case in the Mishna, there's no Machlokes. One can get married and the other one can't get married, right? So why doesn't Rameir say we just bounce the edus? In the second case, where one says he died and the other one says he was killed, Rameir says it's no good, right? And they can't. Neither one of them could get married. So in the first case, should be a kol shekain that Rameir should hold that they can't get remarried, right? They're sliced to each other straight out. So that's what Gemara is asking. The lift like Rameir Beresha. Some Rabbi Lazar Machlokes Shnuya, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimoni. It is Rameir is disagreeing in the Resha, right? And the Resha is Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon, and the Mishna doesn't mention Rameir. That's the first teretz. So the first teretz is that Rameir Taka argues in the first case too. Says both of them can't get remarried. Rabbi Yochanan says no. Even Rameir will say, let me just stop the middle of the sentence. Even Rameir is maida that you can believe the one who said he's dead. For somebody to say that the man did not die, that's not a hakasha. We don't go with that, right? Because one guy came and said the husband died, meaning one wife came said the husband died. We believe her. Comes along somebody else and says he didn't die. That's not strong enough to take away the edus. Right? Comes out in a very interesting thing that it's a bigger steer. It's one actually denying what was said is not going to slug up. We're not going to slug up the edus. But if it's just not consistent, like one saying dead and one saying killed, then that will be a problem. Right?
Could Rabbi Yochanan be saying that the words loy mace, when it's the wife talking, just means I didn't see him die? It's not a direct hakasha. One said I saw him die, one said I didn't see him die.
Well, that's not what loy mace
That's not what the
means.
Gemara Mishna says.
That's not what loy mace is. You're saying loy mace doesn't mean not that he didn't die.
That's what Rabbi Yochanan
She didn't see him die. Well, I guess you can never know if somebody didn't die, right? He went to shul. How does she know he didn't die?
They both came back with the same story. I saw the building fall. One said I saw him die. The other one said I didn't see him die.
No, she said he did not die. There's a difference. And to say I didn't see him die, but he did not die.
It depends how you touch the words loy mace.
No, I don't think that
Loy mace means he didn't die. That's what loy mace means.
Laura, I didn't see it. That's a neutral thing. I didn't see him die. Okay, but he walked out of the building. He went down to Seasons. He had a whatever. He left, but he didn't. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, nobody can ever know that somebody didn't die, right?
What do you mean? They both came back from the same trip. They went with their husband overseas, and they both saw whatever happened.
Right.
One of them says mace, one of them says loy mace.
Correct.
Oh, one of them's a liar.
Not necessarily. We're asking them for edus. They want to get remarried. So the Bezdin asks them, do you see him die? One says yes, one says no.
That's not the case, Gershon.
That's not what they said. The Mishna does not say they saw him die. I didn't. They said he died. He did not die. To me, that's the big difference.
I don't know.
The only way we know he died is there's a
Taisus,
shark in the mikvah. Yalla, let's go.
If you look at Taisus doesn't explain why May says that. Taisus says that we don't believe, the reason why we wouldn't believe him in the case of Lay Mace is because we think she's trying to mess up the other person. Not because you're not actually, meaning that's
that's part of that. That's a
I understand that, but it has nothing to do with because she doesn't know. It's because she is saying he's alive. He's alive. It's just that we assume when you say somebody's alive that you're just trying to mess up the other wife.
She's a liar. In other words, she's a liar.
Exactly. That's
part of the chashash. That's part of the
she's lying.
Correct.
Even Ramirez might, in this case, we assume she's lying.
Yeah,
that's what the Gemara is saying.
Yeah, no, that's true. That is true. So Tanan, let's see. So Tanan, Eidoimer Mace, the last case. Yeah, the Gemara was asking a question. Tanan, Eidoimer Mace, Eidoimer Loy Mace. One witness says that he died. One witness says didn't die. Isha Meres Mace, or a woman says he died. Isha Meres Loy Mace. Harezu Loyti Nase. She can't get married. So Bishlam the Rebbe Lazar stomach meir. El Rabbi Yochanan Kasha. So according to Rebbe Lazar, we could say, okay, this Mishnah is going like Rameir. Right? Because we say that it's a stira. El Rabbi Yochanan, but according to Rabbi Yochanan, who says Rameir is Maida in this case, Kasha. So it's a Kasha. So when it says Kasha, yes, it is a Kasha. Right? That's the theme of Yevamos. Right? We end the sugi with Kasha. Right? Mamash Givaldik. Fine. Talk the next Mishnah.
One question. Akasha means that there is an answer. We just haven't arrived at it, correct?
Correct. Yeah. It means that there's ways to. It's not a tiyufta. It's not a tiyufta. Tiyufta means that it's not a teikuv. Yeah. It's a kasha. Fine. So zog the Mishnah. Isha shaholcha hi u'bayla Medina Sayam. So now here she traveled to the Medina Sayam. Uba va'amra, and she said, Meis Baili, my husband died. So then Tinasi v'tita ksubasa, she can get married and she takes a ksuba. V'tzarasa asura, but like we said, her tzara is asur. Now her tzara didn't say anything. Her tzara is asur because she's only believed on herself. She's not believed on her tzara. Right? Not only is her tzara not allowed to get remarried, she's even allowed to eat truma if she's a bas Yisrael that was married to a kohen. Meaning we're saying that she's legitimately still married to this fellow, right? For all aspects. R Tarfon, that's R Tarfon. Einzu derech has a little thing of tumult here, exactly how to pronounce this word and what exactly it means. But Einzu derech maitzi asa midei avera. That's not the way to get her out of doing an avera, right? The only way to get her out of vade doing an avera is we don't let her get married. We also don't let her do truma. Meaning, Rabbi Akiva is saying that yes, we don't believe the edus from her co-wife because we're afraid the co-wife would just mess her up. So we don't believe it for the tzara. But we're going to be chayshid for it that she can't eat truma anymore because it could very well be that her husband died. When her husband died,
she can't benefit in any way. She can't benefit in any way, is what he's trying to say.
Correct. Meaning we're going to be machmer both directions. That's what it's saying. We're going to be machmer in both directions. We're not letting her get remarried, but we're not.
What about the chazaka?
What?
What is Rabbi Akiva doing with the chazaka? That she's a ish. Make it tasty for her to make a race on the chazaka.
No, so that's what he's saying. He wants to. That's why I think he means.
Why would you be mad on
you're right.
On the chazaka of the original chazaka?
It sounds like according to Halacha, Rabbi Akiva would be minded to that, but to take her, that's what I think the lashon is maitziyasa midei aver. In order to make sure she doesn't do any averas, we want, because there is a doubt now. So to make sure,
I'm asking, why is there a doubt?
Because there's somebody that testified that her husband died.
Mishna Guna, we believe her, but she's not real edus.
Yeah, but the bottom line is that the wife is going to get remarried, so there is some sort of nemanah. So we do believe it like shtei edim. We believe it like shtei edim, right? Yes, that's okay. So that's that. Then Amra, next case in the Mishnah, Amra Meis Baili v'achakach Meis Chami. If she says that my husband and my father-in-law died, right? So now she's saying edus on her mother-in-law, which we learned, meaning she's saying edus to be mata her mother-in-law, which we learned she's not neman. Right? So she said, my husband and my father-in-law died. Tinasi v'tita ksubasa, she can get married and she takes a ksuba, v'chamaisa asura, and her mother-in-law is asur because she's not believed. But Haisa Bas Yisrael Lekayin Taichel B'Truma. But she's not only that, the mother-in-law could still eat the truma. Fine. Divrei Reb Tarfon, Reb Kiva Aimer, same thing. Ein zu derech mitzia midei avera. This is not the way to get her out of doing an avera. Achetei asura linasei v'asura melecha b'truma, until it's also for her to get married and it's also for her to eat truma. Meaning, the way to get her out of doing an avera is we don't let her get remarried and we also don't let her eat truma. Fine. So those are the two cases. Now, why do we need two cases? Both cases saying the same exact thing. One is talking about a co-wife, a tzara, and one is talking about my mother-in-law. B'tzricha. And you need both. Because if you would say the first case, R Tarfon, because it's actual tsar of the guf. Why? Because this woman is having pain because her husband doesn't sleep with her as much as he would because he has another wife to satisfy. Right? So she's actually feeling pain. So Memela, we're not going to believe her. The tzara mili da'alma, it's not an actual pain. It's just, it's tumult. It's hak. It's hak. She's, she doesn't like her mother-in-law because her mother-in-law might say bad things about her, etc., etc. Same in maybe Rebbe Kiva, that you can believe the edus of the daughter-in-law. And if you're going to say baha, so it's the opposite. Baha kama Rebbe Kiva. Maybe that's what Rebbe Kiva says. You can't believe the edus. Aval, because it's only mili. That's where you maybe have to believe the edus because it's only words. But maybe in the first case where there's actual physical pain from the co-wife to the other wife, because not pain, but pain, the husband is causing pain because he's not going to be with her as often. So maybe the R Tarfon that she could still eat the truma. So tzricha, that's what we needed. That's what we need both cases. Amar Rabbi Shmuel, Halacha Reb Tarfon, Halacha is like Reb Tarfon. Amar Rabbi Afanan Nami Tanina. We also learned the Mishna like this, which we're going to see in the bottom of the next Amar. Nitanli ben b'medinas hayam. So, excuse me. So she went and okay. That could either be mold, dust, any number of things, flies, bugs. Yeah. So Nitan Lee, Ben, so a couple goes off on travels, and they don't have any kids. She comes back and she says she had a son. And then my son died, and then my husband, which means that she needs Yibum. So Nemenes, she's believed. Right? But but if she says my husband died first and then my son, which means that she does not need Yibum, she's not believed. We are chayshid for her words because she's full of baloney. Because why? When she left, she had no kids. She had a chazaka that she needs Yibum. She says at Eidos that she doesn't need Yibum. That's changing the chazaka that she left with. Right? But if she comes back and says that she still does need Yibum, then of course we're going to believe her. So therefore, chaletzes v'lemisivemos. So the din is we don't know what know exactly what to do. So therefore, she gets chalitza, but she can't do yibum. So mashmal dvarehu the chayshishin. We're chayshish for her words. Hala divrei tzara ain't chayshishin, but to speak on behalf of her tzara, then we're not concerned, and therefore we would believe her, right? Meaning, so Shema Mina, so therefore that's what we learned, that the Halacha is like Reb Tarfon, that we are going to believe her at least v'nageya to Truma. Right? So we have a Mishna that says exactly like Reb Tarfon. On Tomei Beis now. Yeah. Now the Gemara changes gears for a little bit for this first Mishna. I'm not so sure why the Gemara, I understand why the Gemara did it, because it's a Machlokes between Reb Tarfon and Rebbe Kiva, but it changes subjects totally, and then the next Mishnah goes back to the subject we just finished with. So Kiddush Achas Mechamish Nashim. This guy's the real winner. This guy, he's Mekadesh, one of 5 women. It's like they have these where the guys, you go the speed dating thing, 5-10 minutes, right? You go from one girl to the next. So then he was Mekadesh one of them. He doesn't remember which one he was Mekadesh, right? So Kiddush Achas Mechamish Nashim. He was Mekadesh one of them. He doesn't remember which one he was Mekadesh. So Kol Achas and Meres, I see Kiddush. Each one says he was Mekadesh me because they want a payday. They want to make money on the kesuba. So nice and get l'chol echas v'achas. He gives a get to each and every one, right? Umeniach kesuba beinein. Rashi points out he gives a get to each and every one if he doesn't want to marry them. But if he wants to marry all five, then he has that. He can, right? So anyway, so he gives a get to each one. And he just puts the kesuba down between them and then he leaves. Meaning he gives a get to each one because it's a suffix kedusha. But the kesuba, he knows he only has to pay one set of kesuba, so he puts it down and says, okay, you guys fight.
What do they accomplish?
What?
What do they accomplish?
Because all he owes is one kesuba. We're going to make him give a get to each one, right? But the kesuba, he only owes one kesuba. You guys are he's telling the ladies. You ladies want the kesuba. You guys prove that I'm the one that married you, right? Yeah, R Tarfon. That's chiddush of Tarfon. Rabbi Kiva says, you're not going to get her out of doing an avera like this. Actually, you can get uksuba l'chalachas v'achas. The only way to get out of this properly is he's got to give a get to each one and a ksuba to each one, which is a similar machlokes to what we had in the previous Mishna. Gezel echad in the same case, but with stealing. Gezel echad mechamisha. A guy steals from one of five people. He doesn't remember which one he stole from. Right? He goes to 5 different stores. And he stole from one of them. He doesn't remember which one he stole from. So each one says he stole from me. I want the money. He just leaves the gzela between them and let them fight. He leaves, and that's it. That's not the way to take somebody out doing avera. Until he pays to each and every one. He has to pay each one. Right to the same.
Rabbi Kiva is saying that's the sitka, so that's the din. He only stole $100 from one person.
Yeah, but the bottom line is if he pays it back to the wrong person, he did an avera.
So today, if somebody steals from somebody and he doesn't know from who he stole from, right? Which can happen all the time. All of a sudden, he has to pay everybody.
According to Rabbi Kiva, in order to be mistalik from Isser, yeah.
This is the way we paskin?
What?
We paskin like this?
Do we? Well, like that comes out more is when you take from the rabbin. So how do you pay back the rabbin?
Right, that's what I was thinking. You take from the rabbin, were you going to pay back every single person? What does that mean?
The way you.
So see, doesn't the Gemara give a dugma like if you take a pillow and you open it up and you let all the feathers fly over the place, it's impossible to regather all of them up. Well, this is not minadin. They don't all have a tzvi on him.
I can't hear you.
I said this is not minadin, even according to Rabbi Kiva. They don't have a tzvi on him. Could they be tevei him?
Why do they need a tzvi? He wants to get out of it. He wants to do hashim.
He wants to make it right by himself.
Yeah.
So he wants to make it right. It's not din. He wants to make it right. It's not din.
What do you mean by din?
You can't be tevei him in Bezdin.
Right, that's why.
How do I do tshuva?
Oh, you want to do tshuva? That's fine, but that has nothing to do with din.
No, a lot of shittas hold they have to make a shvur that they were the ones that he was makadosh, or that they were the one that he stole from. They have to make a shvur san noitlim. It says.
That's a shvur drabanan, right?
Yeah, but they have to do that in order for him to actually be chayav. That's what he brings down here.
From who?
Sorry, I guess you're right. So your hotspot really dies fast.
I warned you. I said need a charger. They'll bring you up another one.
I don't have a charger.
Yeah, where's your phone?
Yeah. It's all right. Right now.
So Yaakov, did the people at Maminim go to the Kaddish also?
The Maminim what?
The people at Maminim that run Maminim go to the Kaddish event as well.
Oh yes, seems like they do because they all have internet. They just refuse to connect it. I'm not in Maminim now, but my mother's house.
But
Mentioning internet, if you post something on the internet, it's forever.
that's the way all our learning.
You do Lashon Hara on the internet. It's essentially
Doctor,
words
so
and
Doctor,
Yaakov, you're muted. Yaakov, you're muted.
Doctor, please be very careful with your jokes, okay? You don't want some of them lasting forever, okay?
There you go. All right, can you hear me?
You very much.
You can.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good. Right now it's working. Anyway, so the Gemara says, I apologize for this. Kiddush katani, ba loy katani. Kiddush, it says, I'm going to leave it like this meanwhile. Kiddush katani, thank you. Ba loy katani. But if he was Baal, then this halacha doesn't apply. Meaning, if he was Baal, one of the five, Gezel katani, and the same thing with he stole from the one of the five, lokach loy katani. But it doesn't say that he bought. So money must nisan. So then, who's the Tana of the Mishnah? Loy Tana Kama, v'lo Reb Shimon ben Elazar. It's not the Tana Kama, not Reb Shimon ben Elazar. Why? The Tanya Reb Shimon ben Elazar Aimer. Loy Nechel Reb Tavon Reb Akiva al Shekidish Achas Michamish Nashim Ve'enei Dei Eza Kiddush. There's no Machlokes Reb Tavon Reb Akiva about Kiddushin. Sheminiach kesuba beinein and Mistalik. Everybody agrees. You put the kesuba between them and you get out of there. Al Nechel Al Shabal. The Machlokes is if he was Baal them. He puts the kesuba between them and he leaves. Right, Rabbi Kiva, until he pays each one of them, because since it was a shaila of who he was boil, that's much worse than if he just gave money for kedushin. That if he did a purchase, because it's not so bad. He puts the money that he could have potentially bought from each one, and they fight it out. The Machlokes is if he actually stole from one of the five. R Tarfon.
See, Yaakov.
Yeah.
I asked this morning. Not everybody here knows, but the coffee in Shayashiv that Shaya takes care of. So everybody gives him money every month. Let's say one guy never gave money. Is he stealing from? Who's he stealing from? Shia collects when he needs to make a new order. So he puts a sign up, I need money for a new order. And all the guys give him.
Yeah, but
let's say one guy never gives. Is that guy stealing from 10 people or just stealing from what's he stealing, this fellow?
Well, if everybody's mechuyev to, then he could be stealing from everybody. But who says you mechuyev to?
That's why I asked you.
I don't know. It depends what the deal is. What does the sign say?
No, the sign doesn't say you have to give. No, it never doesn't say.
The fire is just a cheap guy getting away with it.
Yeah.
I never gave, but I never drank coffee.
You never drank coffee.
I think I did. Maybe I did. I don't know. Whatever. I never drank coffee. I don't know. Anyways, so Rav Tarfon saying Gzela, you have to get out of there. Meaning you give one and then you get out of there. But he has to pay gzela, because since he did an avla to somebody, meaning if he's not sure which store he bought it from, okay, not so bad. But if he actually stole, it could be he did an avla to one of these five people. You have to make sure you make it right. You have to make sure you make it right. So Rav Shimon So Rav Shimon says that there's no machlokes by stam kiddushin, by giving money to the women, or by purchasing mechlal the Tanakama Sover Pligi. So it's mashma that the Tanakama says that they do disagree in that case. So money, Tanakama listening kiddush v'laka. So if it's Tanakama, why are you going on to lashon of bia and gezel say kiddush v'laka? Rav Shimon Elazar listening ba'al v'gezel. So who can this Mishnah possibly be like? So one answers. La'ayla Reb Shimon ben Elazar, my kiddush b'bia. What does kiddush mean? Kiddush means kiddush b'bia. Right? It doesn't mean do kiddushin, even though you're not supposed to do kiddushin b'bia, but here it refers to kiddushin b'bia, not with money. Fine. So Tana kiddush l'idiyach l'karka de Rebbe Kiva. It says kiddush to tell you the strength of Rebbe Kiva's din. The avagav di surah d'Rabbanan ovad. Even though, like we just said, by doing kiddushin b'bia, that's an issa d'Rabbanan, because the Rabbanan said we don't want kiddushin b'bia anymore. So he still gets a knas, right? Meaning, even though he did a d'Rabbanan, because he did a kedushin with bia, he still gets a knas. The Tana Gezel, and he says stealing, to tell you the Kayach of Tarfon, the Avagav, the Isura Daraisa Avad, like Kana said, even though according to Rav Tarfon, he did an Issa Daraisa Mamish, right? Still, he still does not have a knas. So that shows the strength of each one of the shitas. Fine. Again, Rabbi Kiva holds that even if he's just over the Rabbanon, since he definitely did something wrong, he has to give back to all five. And according to Rav Tarfon, he didn't do anything. He did something wrong to one. So he just pays it back and let them fight out who's the one that gets it. Right? Fine. Dr. Mishna. Same case as the previous, two Mishnahs ago. She goes to Medinas Hayam with her husband, and she took a kid with them. The last Mishnah, two Mishnahs ago, was that she came back with a kid. Here she left with a kid. And she comes back and she says that my husband died first, and then my son died, which means that she doesn't need Yibum, and she's mutter to marry whoever she wants. Now, as she's believed, but if she says my son died first and then my husband died, which means that she needs Yibum, and she's not believed. Right? And we have to be chayshish for what she says. So therefore, so because meaning it's somewhere in the middle. So it's I hate to say something practical very, very quickly because we only have 5 minutes, but this is something along the lines of palgina and dibure. You have to be chayshish, but you can't really act on it. Right? So where does this come out? I don't want to bring up any raw things, but when a kid accuses for the first time a rebbe of doing something improper or a spouse, so you have to listen. You can't ignore, but you can't punish on one thing unless you mamish have vadai proof, right? Meaning there's something that you have to believe, but you can't believe until it happens a lot, obviously, and then you have to act on it. But then it's the same type of thing here. Fine. Nitan li ben b'Medinas Hayam. She says I went overseas. We saw this on the bottom of the previous Amud, and she had a kid. Va'amra meis b'ni v'achakach. I said before it was a Mishna, wasn't it? It was just the Gemara quoting this. Va'amra meis b'ni v'achakach meis b'ayli. She says my son died and then my husband. Now menes she's believed. Meis b'ayli v'achakach meis b'ni ain't an menes, but she's not believed. So the chashesh is whatever when a chashesh for a word to chaletz is like she gets chalisa, not yibum. Nitinli yabam b'Medinas Hayam. She says I went overseas and I had yibum. Amra, but she says meis b'ayli v'achakach meis yivmi, and first my husband died and then my yavam died. Memela, she's mutter to everybody. Yivmi v'achakach b'ayli, or the yavam died first and then the husband, which again also she'd be mutter to marry because there's no brother-in-law. Nemenes, she's believed. Let's say she and her husband and her brother-in-law went overseas. Amra, she says, meis b'ayli v'achakach yivmi, my husband died and then my yavam died. Yivmi v'achakach b'ayli, or my yavam and then the baal. And in a menace, she's not believed. She'ein ha'isha nemenes leimer meis yivmi shetinase. A woman is not believed that her yavam died, that she should get married. Right? Because we're afraid, like we said, we're afraid that she's got how do you call it? Negiyah. Fine. She's also not believed that her sister died, right? That that she can go marry her brother-in-law. And a man is not believed to say that his brother died and now he can go marry his sister-in-law. And a man can't say that his wife died that he can marry his sister-in-law. Right? Again, with all these things, because it has negiyas. They all have negiyas. Fine. So Bamine, Zogdi Gemara, Frekti Gemara, Bamine Rava Mirav Nachman. Amizaka get leishta b'makam yavam ma'u. Somebody gives a get to his wife, right? Through somebody else, without his wife actually taking the get, where she's going to become a yavam. Meaning the guy's dying without kids, right? He's dying without kids. He knows that his wife does not like his brother, right? So he decides to do a nice thing, but he's in the hospital. His wife is at home. He calls over a guy. A frum guy comes over. Bikuchayim guy says, "Hey, I'm writing a get. I'm giving you the get on behalf of my wife. Like this, my wife will not have to marry my brother." So he's doing this without her knowledge, right? A mazaka get l'ishta b'makom yavam mahu. Kiven the sanyule chutula. Since obviously his wife hates his brother-in-law, so he's actually doing a schus, and we know the rules. Zachin l'adam shalei b'fanav. Even he's as long as you can give something to somebody shalei b'fanav, right? If somebody comes and says they're giving out free things, I want to be kinded for you, and there's no cost involved, you're allowed to be kinded on behalf of your friend, because why wouldn't he take it? So here too, why shouldn't she take it? She hates her sister-in-law. She hates her brother-in-law. I Dilmo, we say kiven dezimna derachmalay, but no, sometimes the sister-in-law likes her brother-in-law. Chayvulas, and then it's a chayv, because now she's not going to be able to marry him, because it is a deraisa to marry him if it's not in the case of yibum. Vein chaven l'adam shalei b'fanav, and we're not chaven l'adam shalei b'fanav. So that was the shaila. Again, is divorcing the woman for her, seemingly her advantage, or maybe not? Maybe she likes the guy, the brother-in-law. We learned we're choshesh for a word for chaletzes, and we do chalitza, not yibum. So since there are some women that do and some women that don't, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to let her. We're going to do somewhere in the middle. If he does this shtick, we're going to make her do chalitza, but she will not be able to do yibum. A similar question like this is: can you sell somebody's chametz for Pesach if he's not from? Can you sell the chametz for him? Because really you're selling his thing. So how can you say that's zachin? So you're selling it, but lamaisa you're giving him a schus because he's not gonna be over on bal yirah bal yamatzah, right? So what do you look at it like? Is it a chayv because lamaisa you're selling his thing, or do you say no, it's a schus because he's going to be very happy when he gets to the next world that he wasn't over on bal yirah bal yamatzah? A very common question with balei tshuva who want to sell their parents' chametz. Right, that's a similar case here. A guy gets into a fight with his wife. Imagine this eitzah. Right? You get into a fight with your wife. You go to work. You say, you know what? She hates me. I'm going to give her a get through somebody else. I'm just going to give my friend a get and say, be zoich in this get. Right? Even the isla ketata ba'adei is chusula. It's a chus. That's it. She doesn't have to deal with him anymore. It's better because she'd rather be married to somebody than nobody. Right? You'd rather be married to somebody than nobody. So Tashima, here you go, Paris. There's more material for you. Tashima, Damarish Lakish, Kav Lames of Tandu, and Lames of Armelu. Right? A famous line in the Gemara. A woman would rather live with two people, meaning her and her husband, than to stay an almana. Doesn't make any difference what the husband's like. She would much rather that. That's one. We said from Rav Nebenthal that this no longer applies. Rav Nebenthal said this no longer applies. Women would rather live alone than live with somebody who they don't like. Abaya Amar, the shumshana gavra, a husband is like a shumshana is an ant. If the man is as small as an ant, kursei beichasa ramula, but she can pull up her chair with the free people. Meaning, as long as she's married, even though her husband is as small as an ant, she could still go sit in the circle and discuss marriage. Right, so therefore, she would still rather be married. That's another case. Papa Amar, the nafsa gavra, a man who.
How did you learn shumshana gavra?
You just
How did you learn
what?
Stature? Is that stature or?
I learned it physical. It sounds physical because the other cases are stature. Right, Papa Amar, the nafsa gavra, if the man comb hair. She'll call him to the door and sit with him, right? Because at least she has a husband. The kulsa gavra, a man who has kulsa, he's dirty, meaning he doesn't have good yichus. She's not going to ask even for any food from him because she knows he's a oisvar, but she's very happy that at least she has a husband. A ton of a kula mizana, the titles of balein, all of them are mizana. And they say that they're married. They're actually mizana, and they say, at least I'm married, and they say that their baby came from their husband when really they were mizana. Yeah. So Hadran Allah, Shalom, Mazel Tov, and the L'chaim to everybody. And a little late for Mincha.
Yaakov, didn't we have it in Yuma with the Kohen Gadol? He had to take two wives, and he gave one a get tonight that it shouldn't be in case something happens to the first one. What was that whole thing? How was she zucking over there if he wasn't in front of him?
Right. So that is part of. I think that was part of this type of study. But this is coming from the woman's angle. That's coming from the Kohen's angle. Right? Yeah. Anyways, okay, I got to run.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Zag.